Minnesota Democratic Senator Al Franken is giving his first interview since he was accused this month of sexual misconduct. 4 women have accused Franken of inappropriate contact. One says he forcibly kissed and groped her. 3 others accuse him of unwanted touching. Franken is speaking with several Minnesota news outlets, including our Minneapolis station WCCO. Our Jamie Yuccas covered Franken's time in the Senate as an anchor at WCCO, and she's been reviewing Franken's latest comments from our Washington bureau. Jamie?
Elaine, I can tell you it's been interesting to see how he's gone about and who he's talked to within that Minnesota media, particularly the reporter he talked to today from WCCO. Her name is Esme Murphy. He's done more than 100 interviews with her over his time in the Senate. She even has a blog where he used one of her quotes from a blog in his latest memoir. So they have a relationship, and it seems to be the case when he talked to also the Star Tribune and NPR, 2 Minnesota media outlets in the Twin Cities. They are relationships with reporters that he's built over the years that he sat down and talked with them. I can tell you in that interview with WCCO TV's Esme Murphy, she did ask him, as you said, 4 women have come forward saying that there was inappropriate touching. 3 have said that he inappropriately grabbed their buttocks. So he says in response to Esme's question, have you ever placed your hands on a woman's butt? Senator Franken says, you know, I can't say that has not happened. I take thousands and thousands of pictures. We sometimes in crowded and chaotic situations. I can't say I haven't done that, and I'm very sorry for these women that experience that. And I have to say that I have to be a lot more sensitive, a lot more careful in these when I take a picture, when I meet someone, and I'm going to make sure that that doesn't happen again. One of the instances he spoke about pretty in-depthly with a couple of people was one where the woman came forward saying that he had taken a photograph with her at the Minnesota State Fair and that he had inappropriately touched her buttocks at that situation. He talks about with a number of the media outlets that he could see where that may have happened. He takes thousands of photographs at the Minnesota State Fair, and that he's embarrassed and ashamed that he's having to discuss some of these situations now, that he sees how they may have left women feeling disrespected and that it was inappropriate. And he does apologize without fully coming out and saying that that in fact happened. He just basically says that it likely was inappropriate, but he didn't do it on purpose, that kind of thing. He did tell the Star Tribune, they asked whether he expects any other women to step forward with similar groping allegations. The senator said, if you had asked me 2 weeks ago would any woman I say had treated her with disrespect, I would have said no. So this has just caught me by surprise. I certainly hope not. As we continue to hear, though, the first allegation came out on November the 16th. There are now 4 allegations against him. He has given 5 different statements, all of which have talked about him being embarrassed by the situation and wanting to listen to women. One of the other pieces that came from the interview with WCCO TV in Minneapolis that I found interesting is that the reporter asked, was your credibility, has it been undermined? He says, I would say yes, and I have a long way back. I have a long way back to win back the trust of the people of Minnesota. I've let the people down. I've let the people of Minnesota down. I've let my friends and staff and supporters down, my family down. I've especially let down the people who have seen me as a champion for women. A lot of the work I've done in the Senate has been being a champion for women. One of the first pieces of legislation I did was to make sure that women who work for military contractors can go to court if they have been sexually assaulted. I was very proud of that piece of legislation. Now, this seems to be kind of where he is at, telling also the Star Tribune and NPR that he's ashamed and embarrassed by his behavior. I've let a lot of people down. I'm hoping I can make it up to them and gradually, he says, regain their trust. That seems to be something that is important to Mr. Franken, who says that he will comply with an ethics investigation that's been opened up into some of these accusations within the Senate, but that he has no plans to resign at this point. That came up in all of the interviews that he did today, saying he would not resign. As a matter of fact, as he spoke about some of these pieces of legislation that he's already done, he went pretty in depth in the interview, saying that he plans to use this as an opportunity to champion legislation for women with his time in the Senate, and he also plans to be back at work, Elaine, tomorrow morning.
All right, Jamie Yuccas in Washington for us. Jamie, thank you.